Whoa. I ain't got no good light. Welcome to my house, bitches. Welcome to my house, bitches. You know what I'm saying? Hold up. Motherfuckers from always. Small ass bathroom. Fuck it. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? But anyways, what up? Run that shit back. Thank you guys for tuning in to my motherfucking videos. You know what I'm saying? Keep tuning into these videos. Got some country shit coming to you. Hopefully we get that shit off tonight. I'm just doing some reaction videos right now. So stay tuned, enjoy that shit with me. You dig? I just had to show, my motherfucking room and bed, you feel me? Right? Still got a lot of shit to decorate, you feel me? You know what I'm saying? The motherfuckers who dick riding. You know what I'm saying? What your motherfucking ass doing? Stay tuned for my next motherfucking video. Run it up.
I was like, what? Mike Tyson? Boy, take your butt to class talking about some Mike Tyson. Knock your behind out. That's probably why I look like Mike Tyson to you. They used to call me RoboCop. You know what I'm saying? They couldn't, they be trying to hide different parts of the school, cutting class. Here I come walking. Dang, this dude everywhere. RoboCop. My first few years, I used to break up fights out.
Where's the information in?
Archangelic realm. Before I go into that, I want to answer a question. This is from one. I think this is Njoli. Njoli's one of the sisters. I think she's a member. Njoli. And I had this on my desk for a while. So those are considered vehicles too. Don't think of it just as an engine, but it can be almost like an engine. Okay. One of the things that I always address right around this time in January is getting on the frequency where your ancestors recognize you. Okay. And what I mean by that is we've fallen so far and been so distorted and contorted and twisted by our experience here in America as African Americans. She says it's lagging. Do you see it lagging on your end? Are you online?
Yeah, I am.
We talk about this particular aspect of a vehicle. We're talking about vehicle in your ascension. And what happens is this: when we seek to ascend and we need the connection of our ancestors to help us, they don't recognize us. They don't understand. They're confused. The energy is clashing. Okay? Almost like if your child went away on a summer trip or a child went back and they came back and said their name is Ho Chong Long. You know, Ho Chong Long, they speak in Chinese. They got a whole different name. You're not going to recognize that child. And you may think that there's something wrong with that child. Their mind has been twisted. What are you talking about? Well, African Americans, that's exactly our situation. We have names that don't give us any connection to the stars. Okay? Jimmy, Jonathan, Tabitha, Ashley, Freddie, and all of these names don't give us, they cut off our connection. This is why one of the first things that the slave masters did, or the slavers did, was take away our names. Okay? So, have you ever had a situation when you get close to somebody? You notice when you get close to somebody, it could be a friend or it could be a loved one. It could be a romantic relationship. You start calling them outside of their name. Now, I'm not talking about like cursing them out, but we start to develop these particular nicknames. We develop a closeness with them when we shorten their names. We always hear about Becky, right? Okay, Becky comes from Rebecca, okay, which is a Semitic word, come from the word baraka, which means a blessing. Okay, it's a Hebrew word actually. So Rebecca is a Jewish word or Hebrew word name. So it becomes Becky, right? You got Richard. Richard becomes Dick, right? You don't even use that name anymore. You shorten these particular names. So you have to ask yourself, if we're seeking to get closer to the Most High, what name would he use, or what name would be fitting? Okay? It would be a name that connects you to your roots. Because what we fail to realize, or what we don't remember oftentimes, is that the Most High, or God, is not a spirit or apparition. Okay? They're not even supernatural. They are extraterrestrial beings, right? That seeded life on this planet. And melanated people have a direct DNA linkage to the gods. A direct DNA linkage. You're talking about your great, like 1,000 times grandfather. That's God. God is like your great grandfather from Sirius, right? When they came here and seeded life on this planet. It said man was created in the image and likeness of God, right? Image and likeness, right? That's talking about a cloning aspect where DNA was deposited on this planet. Not to get too deep, but these angelic beings all are, a fanciful or more of a dramatic way of saying these Anunnaki, or these extraterrestrials that came down in ships of 50 from Nibiru. I know I'm getting a little out there. You need to get Cosmic Ascension to fourth density and catch up. But follow me. So it's a family thing. It's a bloodline thing, right? So if you have a name that doesn't connect you to the bloodline, you become almost like unrecognizable. Okay? So as we elevate in consciousness, we have to understand the power of words and sound as well. Okay? Words and sound as well. It's very important because everything carries a frequency and a vibration, and there's certain languages that just have more power in those particular languages, especially going back to your Yoruba or your Kemetic and Hebrew, which is the same thing as Kemetic or Hamitic lineages, Amharic, and things of this nature. So the words have more power. All right? And one of the things that a lot of people don't understand is that there was a spell placed over these particular slaves. Yes, they used, the terrorism and the whipping and the mind control, but there was also occultism that was used to help control these particular slaves, because some of them were very powerful. Some of them were high priests and things of this nature and had those genes. They didn't really understand their power, but they had certain protection over them. So they used certain spells and rituals in order to keep those particular slaves controlled. Okay, part of that was calling them a certain name. This brings remembrance of the movie Get Out. I didn't even see the movie, and I already know what it's about. Get Out. It was about them being under a spell, correct? Like a hypnosis. And we have to be very careful because we run out. We want to see these movies and things of this nature. Just use your discernment. I'm not interested in watching any horror movies, period. Especially if it got black people in it, because most of the time, the people that's making the movies aren't us. Especially the people who's bankrolling the movies. So you watch that. Well, let's watch this scary movie, curl up and go to sleep to that movie. After you watch that movie, all that stuff could program your mind. I'm just saying. Be wise. But it all speaks to how they had control over these slaves through hypnotic suggestion. And this is what they used. They used that as well. This is right at the time when the Europeans were very much getting into occultism and mesmerism. That's what they called it back then, mesmerism. Right? Hypnotizing people. They were tampering it in the occult. That's around the same time they were raiding all of the, the pyramids. As you get Raiders of the Lost Ark, right? They were pillaging all of our temples, taking all that information and using that occult information to keep us enslaved and to enrich themselves. This is another reason why you need to learn about the Kabbalah. Look at who's controlling everything, who has all the money. I'm going to give you a clue. It has something to do with the Kabbalah. And for those who don't know, the Kabbalah is the mystic teachings of Hebrewism. It's the Jewish mystical teachings. You see? So when you really get down to it, they're dealing with a level of magic. Right? So when we were brought here as slaves and stripped of our names, we were given a slave name. You can research it yourself and find the different ship logs where they just doled out people's names. You see? And on top of that, they took a hot branding iron and branded everybody with the brand of that particular slave trafficking company. It had a brand on each slave's back. And we gotta remember this stuff while we hollering about Chris Brown and R. Kelly and stuff. Remember who the real terrorist is, the real rapist. While y'all run around trying to swirl with the beast, remember that this was a person who raped, not necessarily that person, but this is from a group of people that may have raped your great grandmother, that may have tore apart families. You see, tore apart families, terrorism and things of this nature. So let's remember that. Let's remember the fact that the slave owners used to not just molest little girls, they used to molest little boys too. You see, nothing they could do about it. You got to go your whole life being molested. So let's remember that while we're talking about toxic masculinity, we're talking about R. Kelly. Let's remember who the real pedophile and who the real beast is. All this foolishness we picked up from him. We picked all that up from him. That's why we can't really condemn our brothers and sisters but so much, because we've been tainted. You see, we laying with dogs, we coming up with fleas. But anyway, so we were stripped of our language, stripped of our culture, our religion, our spirituality, and given this particular slave name. Let's skip ahead to the book of Revelation. It talks about the mark of the beast. Well, part of the mark of the beast is having a slave name. Okay? Any vestiges of that particular being on you is a form of mark of the beast. Everything from having a perm to calling yourself with these European names. And I'm going to go as far as to say speaking his language. Speaking his language. There's going to come a time when we're going to have our schools in place and we're going to have tutors to teach our children Yoruba or teach our children Arabic. So we can also speak in a more divine language. Okay? That connects us to the stars. Okay? So this was all part of creating the alter ego. For those who know anything about MK Ultra, what you do is you have to compartmentalize the psyche, right? And you say certain words, and that brings out another personality, right? With your Beyonce and stuff like this. You say a certain word. They had Britney Spears, they said a certain word. I don't know if it was Mickey Mouse, and all of a sudden she was like, acting all stupid and giddy. She was regular first, but as soon as they said something about Mouse or Mickey Mouse, she started just tripping, like acting like a little kid. That's probably something that they did when they was molesting her as a child, right? So she reverted back to that. Be careful of that tray right there. So when you use these names, you are reinforcing the spell of ignorance and spiritual darkness. Every time you call yourself these particular names, it's almost like blasphemy against your very soul. Okay? And it's part of the mark of the beast. Okay, so it's a process of creating this alter identification or this alter identity, and it was used to obliterate your old identity. They couldn't call themselves by their traditional act.
Yeah, so let me get back to this video.
Fucking names. Somebody to keep writing KKK. What's up? That's a troll. See, that's how you know you waking people up. When stuff like this happens, just a fool. He trying to block everybody else from saying anything. And I guarantee you, if you click on it, and it's most likely a blank page, or you're gonna see a picture of a dog or a cat or another beast. You know what I'm saying? Pretty much. So the free slaves kept their slave names after the Emancipation Proclamation. The slaves were physically free, right? Not financially free, not spiritually free, not mentally free, but just physically free. They still kept their slave names because they were just physically free. But everything else, they were still owned by those slave masters. Okay? So not only did they keep their names when they, had children, they didn't give them African names. They didn't know any better. They just gave them the name of the particular slave master's culture. So, we have a responsibility. Our parents, in many ways, don't know any better. They're just doing what they found their parents doing, just mindless like zombies. You see, not understanding. Even Malcolm X taught this in the '60s. You're not supposed to still have a slave name if you're free. You see, you don't go any place to China and find a Chinaman by the name of Leroy Jones. You don't go to, anywhere, somebody has a name of a total different ethnic group. But this is the norm here in America. This is the norm for here in America. People have British names and Scottish names, Dutch names, English names, because it reflects the fact that you are a slave. You are a slave, okay? Mentally. You haven't woke up to your identity. And if you call yourself quote unquote woke and your name is Matthew, you ain't woke as you think you are. Okay? Absolutely not. And it's amazing. All of those books, Matthew, Mark, Luke, Paul, those were none of their names. They took those names, the original Hebrew names, and just converted them to European names. Why do you translate a name anyway? Ask your pastor that. If you go to another country, you're going to want them to translate your name. You don't translate the person's name. A person's name is their name. So why in the Bible do they translate Jesus' name? Mark's name, right? John's name. Because he's tampering with the truth. He's a liar, okay? Just like he tampered with your name. Anyway, as we are saying, we must have an Ascension name. No mistake about it. I'm not here to, just stroke your ego. I'm sick and tired of seeing people with these names. I'm tired of it, and the ancestors are as well. I know some people, you really don't like to take action. You don't really want anybody telling you what to do. You really don't want any standards. That's going to keep you at the bottom. If you want to rise and we want to change this world, can you at least start by changing your name? You don't have to even change your name legally. You see, because you don't even need their permission to change your name. You need an Ascension name, so when you're around people that's on the frequency, we can call you by your Ascension name. Okay? So like I said, African Americans are the only people on the planet that have names of another ethnic group. And it's pretty sad. It's pretty pathetic in 2019. But it just speaks to it. Most people just follow along with they find their parents doing, what the dominant culture does. They just follow along. You see? There's no real thought process involved. They really not about anything. Just like sheep. You see? There's people around me sometimes, I'm like, Dad, what are you about? The only thing you do is just talk about just low-level stuff, what you going to eat, what's going on with the celebrities, this type of thing, and walking around with a slave name. And I always use the parable or the example of a child. If your child, like I said, went away and they come back, all of a sudden their name is, Bujing Hong Huai. Like, what? How you gonna go back to the father? Or you be like, I didn't create this. You go back to the one who created that Negro. I didn't create an ignorant Negro. So if you're gonna go back, you got to particularly come back right, and I'm gonna back it up and prove it. Ask your pastor this. This is Revelation 2:17. Revelation 2:17. He who has an ear, let him hear what the Spirit says to the churches. To him who overcomes, to him I will give some of the hidden manna. The hidden manna is talking about the hidden power, people. Manna means heavenly food or cosmic food or energy or power, right? I will give him a white stone and a new name written on the stone, which no one knows but he who receives it. A new name. Why is it written on a stone? Well, a stone represents death. It represents inorganic matter. Okay? It represents also ignorance. A stone. It's just a lump of gross matter. Okay? The white represents a new start. Right? So you put it together, you're getting a new start and being born again with this name that brings life. You're adding the stone, which is death, and then you're adding the name, which is life, and it comes together. It means being born again, a new beginning. Okay, because the body is also matter, but the spirit is in the name. The power is in the name. So you put that together, and it's putting you on the next level of your journey. Okay, and this is exactly what we're doing in this day and time. We're giving you a new name. It's not something spooky and miraculous in some other dimension. No, it's you waking up to these facts and making a change and claiming your power. And there's certain type of names you need to choose. And again, this is not for everybody. I'm a specialist. You break your ankle, you may go to a regular doctor, but after a while you have to go to the podiatrist. The doctor is just basic. You're going to say, you're going to write you got to go to a specialist. You can focus on that ankle. Well, I'm a specialist for melanated people here in the West. That's who I'm sent to. You see? So, this is what you need to do. If you're Caucasian from Germany or something of that nature, you could still get this information, but it's not going to be really a specialist for you because that's not all the way, that's not really your lineage. You follow what I'm saying? So it's not like it's a racist thing or anything. It's just as simple as this. We have people that's trying to get back to Sirius, to be quite frank with you. And other people ain't from Sirius, okay? They from, the Pleiades or the Palladians, and they're from different places like that. The Lyran constellation. So it's just we just going in different directions. We have different lineages spiritually. Okay? Here's another quote for you coming from the book of Revelation. He who overcomes, I will make him a pillar in the temple of my God, and he will not go out from it anymore. And I will write on him the name of my God and the name of the city of my God, which is New Jerusalem, or Darussalam, abode of peace, which comes down out of heaven from my God, and my new name. Ask your preacher, what does that mean? Well, there's certain things we ain't supposed to understand. If he wanted you to know, you would know. So pretty much this is talking about the activation of your crown chakra, the activation of your crystal city, which is your pineal gland. The reason why it's called the crystal city is because the pineal gland has been crystallized with calcium calcite crystals coat the particular pineal gland. So that's why it's called the crystal city. And when that particular awakening happens and you become conscious, you now are on the journey to receive a new name. And when it says my God, it's not talking about just one God. It's not talking about like this omnipotent, just one thing. It's not like that. In the beginning, the Elohim created the earth. Elohim is plural, if you know Hebrew. And Elohim means gods. Elo or El means God. So the gods. So this is connecting you to the temple of the gods, who are your ancestors, who you are a direct descendant of. You don't understand how power. I'm feeling chills just speaking this power. You a direct descendant of God. Nothing spooky either. Real men, real brothers, black men and women. This is why it's written. And the sons of God came in unto the daughters of men, right? And the same produced men of renown, okay, men of great stature, right? It's talking about the interbreeding and intermingling of these extraterrestrials with humans, okay? And they're human as well. They wouldn't be able to reproduce. Same family, people, the same family. So, this new name, dragging your feet, it's no problem because you're just not in the book of life, not in this timeline. But for those who have an ear, who are ready to go to the next level, starting in January is a powerful time. This is a time for new beginnings. It's time to get it together. Your ascension name should be 3 parts. The first part is your strength, okay? For an example, Naazir or Naazir. There's a difference between Naazir and Naazir. Naazir, N-A-S-I-R, such as the rapper Nas. Naazir has 2 meanings. One means Nas, which means men, okay? And you have the Nasr Allah or Nasr, which means a helper or an angel, a helper or aider, right? So that's one aspect. So that could be a name. As far as my name, Naazir with a Z, that means observant. You see, so that's one of my strengths. I noticed that I'm very observant. So get on people's nerves. You know what I noticed? Blah blah blah. What you notice now? You know what I noticed? My mom used to get me, drive my mom crazy. Because they put witchcraft on us, people. What you think? They did. They used everything they had. They knew we were powerful, but they had to use everything, all that demonic stuff, all of that homosexual. That's why all your rappers, they got them doing the homosexual rituals. You see, to keep that energy low and demonic. So, if you're a member of Hidden Power University, New Dawn Transformation Ministries, and you do not have an Ascension name, you need to get one, not now, but right now. I'm talking about right now. Go to hiddenpoweruniversity.org, log in, and go to the Ascension names. In fact, go to downloads and Ascension names, and it's time